Hey everybody, it's Kristen and Keith, and we wanted to come to you today just to talk about a lot of consumption that's going on right now in the media. We're hearing a lot of conversations with clients. We've called a lot of people, and as we talk, we're hearing more and more about the virus and how bad things can be, or the market and how bad things can be. And I think it's got not only a lot of people nervous, but also what to listen to. Who's right, who's wrong, and how we should consume that information. So we got to talking, and Keith, you sent a good email this morning talking about how to recenter, refocus. And could you speak to that as to what's a good advice?
Yeah, well, you know, I think for all of us, when we're consuming information, it becomes a lot of work to separate the truth, the relevant, the less true, the less relevant, when you're just always in a consumption mode. And even folks that I know, friends and family, are really kind of sucked in right now to 24/7 cycle, whether it's social media or whether it's
everywhere.
It's everywhere, yeah. So at our house, I told my wife, I said, we need to be on a strict diet of how much we consume a day.
Sure.
We need to understand what's going on in the environment, both from a health perspective and from a financial perspective. But that doesn't need to go on minute to minute.
Right, not 24 hours.
It doesn't.
We're good.
I don't think that's good for any of us. The email you're referencing that I sent the advisors today was a reminder that it's not very complicated. We're not very complicated folks at our house, and certainly even that carries over to our financial planning practice and how I help with strategy here. But I took a picture of Tate's spend and save bucket, and literally for him, Tate is for those of you know, he just turned 13. Brady's
11, so same thing. We did the same thing.
And in the email I sent, it's got a picture, and we'll put it up here for you, but it's a picture of Tate's piggy bank that he's had since he's wee. He's less wee today. He's about to outgrow me. But he has tracked how many dollars he has in there. And as you see that, he's got $297 in his piggy bank. Pretty good. But he has a system. Okay. It's not wildly different than what we deal with multi-millionaires. Is that bucket one is, when the money comes in, it goes in that piggy bank to spend or save. Bucket two is organized at the bank. He has a bank account, a custodial account at the bank that's in safe investments,
sure, but
it's outside the piggy bank. In bucket three, we manage for Tate and keep him in the loop. People say, "What are you doing? It sounds crazy," but I would say, I don't intend for somebody else to teach him about finance. That's let a lot of Americans down today. But the point of the email I think you're referring to is in bucket three, which is in so much turmoil for American stocks and mutual funds are down. Mm-hmm. Tate is, as I pointed out, is 13 years old. He's got $297 in bucket one. He's got some money in his bank account, and the remaining of his assets are built for his college. Bucket three, that's going to be 6 to 10 years out. So I frame the question to all of our staff, licensed advisors, tenured advisors, not, what would you do with Tate's bucket three money that's in stocks and mutual funds?
Absolutely.
Would you sell it? Would you sell out because of this pandemic and move to cash? Would you move to bucket two? I'm not going to answer that question for you. I think it's more interesting for you to decide whether you would sell it for a 13-year-old that's going to be college bound because his dad's going to make him. We haven't decided on where, but he's going to go and continue his education, and I would expect it's going to cost some money. Would you, just a good reminder in the frame, I didn't provide the answers to the team, but they provided me resounding narrative of what they thought, and pretty strongly about what they would do bucket three. Would they sell it? Would they hold it? Would they buy more? And you can draw your own conclusions from bucket three.
I think that's good. That's what I think we're here to do, is just remind people how to refocus. What is your plan and goal? And it's a little easier when you're looking at a 13 and 11-year-old on how they need to use their money. But what do you think that works for retirees and such as well?
I think for any of us, when we think in terms of a time-based strategy, Tate's got $297 to buy, do what most of us do, and that's spend and save Can we deploy most of that opportunistically? Yeah, but is Tate? No, he buys
Right.
junk with that.
No.
You know,
There's
he
video games.
Yeah, there's video games. There's the next pair of junk tennis shoes that he doesn't need. You know,
Right.
there's things like that how we consume in America. We use about if we are really good with money. Even
Yeah.
we use 80% of our money to buy junk we don't need. You know, I'm not suggesting to shame people into not using their spend money, but we're installing a habit for him to add to bucket 2 and add to bucket 3,
Sure.
and do that habitually. So I don't think that, to your point, should be different whether what's in those buckets absolutely changes.
Sure.
You know, if you're
Valid.
carrying around, if you're a 40-year-old man and you're carrying around a piggy bank, you know, maybe it's time for us to talk.
Could be different.
Right. It's probably not appropriate for you to share your piggy bank. But obviously the tools change. How you spend the money changes.
Sure.
Again, I don't know. Again, no judgment if you're buying video games at 40. I mean, everybody's got their thing.
Goals change. So
Goals
whether
change.
you're 13, whether you're 63, I think the idea of this is to come back to your goals and your buckets. Buckets are for any age. We teach them to our kids or teach them to our parents. Grandparents still have them too.
Yeah.
So
6 to 10 years out,
Those
you
are
think
important.
Tate should sell. And maybe just maybe, you should take Tate's advice that you give him.
yeah, I like it. Makes sense. So keep in mind buckets are for everybody. And it's important to think about from a different perspective who you're talking to, who you're taking advice from, what you're consuming, and what you're actually listening to prescribe. So call us if you need anything, if you have questions, if you want to talk about your buckets, let us know.